Hey everyone, welcome back to 996 to Howl. Utah wins 3-2 in overtime against the Montreal Canadiens. Vejmelka making his fourth straight start on the road trip due to Connor Ingram's injury. If you think Utah's going to get some rest, they don't. They got a back-to-back Friday and Saturday against Edmonton. At least that's at home. And then on the road at Vegas, and then a game Monday night against Dallas, 3 games in 4 nights coming up. It's not going to get easy for Utah, so a huge win in Montreal, a game where they definitely should have gotten 2 points. A nice little gift to Montreal to give them 1 point. Utah finishes the road trip 2-2, 2 wins, 2 losses. Those 2 losses, 1-goal losses, 1-0 against Boston, 3-2 against Toronto. A great road trip, a good road trip, not great. A great would have been, winning 3 of those games. They're in every game. No lopsided losses, a blowout win against Pittsburgh. So it's a good road trip, 2 for 2. They stay treading water, trying to get back in the wild card playoff picture. Let's get into this game. Utah takes a penalty 40 seconds into this game. You do not want to take an early penalty at one of the most emotionally momentum-given buildings in the league. I don't even know if those were English words I just used, but the Montreal Arena, one of the loudest, gives their team so much of an edge over their opponents. Luckily, Utah kills it off, but Montreal continues to put on the pressure. 5 minutes into this game, that they hit a post, and they had a 2-on-1 that Olimata broke up. And then finally, Utah starts to get it going. They start to get some sustained offensive pressure. Montreal had one more chance in this first period. A huge glove save, Vejmelka on Caulfield. And then the rest of the period, about 10 to 12 minutes, it was all Utah. They first go on a power play. It was pretty much a lot of perimeter play. They kept giving it to Guenther because it seemed like the Canadiens weren't really covering Guenther. His shot was open the whole power play, but they couldn't really convert. Once that power play expired, there was a nice chance, Michelli to Bukestad, a cross-ice feed from Michelli. I thought this was going to go in for sure, but Bukestad gets denied. And back-to-back power plays to end the first period, and Utah fails at both of them. That's 3 missed power plays in the first period. They just lacked that killer instinct. You got to get at least 1. That should be 2 goals right there. 3 power plays early in the first, but they don't capitalize on any. They go into second period tied 0-0. They did outshoot Montreal 14-5. Definitely Utah had the edge over Montreal after those first 5 minutes. They did some power play line juggling. Again, Guenther, Cooley, Schmaltz, Keller, and Sergachev was PP1, PP2, Michelli, Krause, Bukestad, Kesselring, and Carconi. Not sure what Hayden did to get knocked off power play number 1, and he's not even on power play number 2. The fact that Bukestad and Carconi are on power play number 2 over Hayden is a bit of a head scratcher. And what about McBain? Shouldn't McBain be there over Bukestad or Carconi? McBain's been on fire, and we'll talk about more McBain later in this game. So going to second period, Montreal misses a point-blank chance. This Montreal player was all alone in front of Vejmelka, totally misses the net. And then Utah back on the power play 6 minutes into the second period, where former Coyote Dvorak had the best chance, sort of a partial breakaway. He hits the post. Thankfully, once the power play expired, Guenther scores a one-time chance. I can't believe this shot made it in. Keller to Guenther. Literally, Keller was on the sideboards. It goes a full length of the ice, across the ice horizontally to Guenther, who hits Montembeault, but the shot is so hard, so much velocity, it hits his shoulder and goes in the net. Utah up 1-0. Huge goal by Guenther, assisted by Keller and Schmaltz. But unfortunately, the next shift after, Montreal's first shot on goal, Dvorak's shot hit the post, doesn't count. It's a defenseman point shot through traffic, kind of handcuffs Vejmelka, because Vejmelka's not a normal-handed goalie. His glove's not on his left, it's on his right. So the shot goes right here. If you're a left-handed goalie, you could literally just catch it like a baseball player. But what's Vejmelka going to do? He sort of like shrugs a bit but it goes right between his shoulder and the crossbar. Montreal makes it 1-1. Because Montreal took so many penalties in the first period, in this second period, the fans were just yelling for a penalty to be called on Utah. Whenever a Canadiens player fell on his own volition, they would scream for a penalty. It was kind of a bit embarrassing, but to be honest, it was probably frustrating for Montreal fans because the penalties taken were so lopsided. Finally, they get their prayers answered. They get a power play late in the second period, but thankfully Utah kills it off. Utah outshot Montreal 8-3 in that second period. We go into third period and Montreal scores very early in the third to make it 2-1. Another sort of play that happened in Toronto where on that second goal with Marner, he just threw the puck, it hits Vejmelka, and it goes in his own net. This Montreal player is behind the net, behind the red line, just throws the puck at Vejmelka. I believe it was Christian Dvorak too. It hits Vejmelka awkwardly, and it goes right on the stick to a Montreal player, and he puts it in 2-1. This was unfortunate. It was so early in the third, and I was so hyped for this third period. To get a goal again so early kind of deflated the sails of me watching this game, but definitely not on the team. Utah continued to play their game. They were so good 5-on-5, just limiting Montreal in chances and shots on goal. There was a Lamoureux giveaway right in front of Vejmelka after going down 2-1. Thankfully, the Montreal player missed the net again. And then on the next shift, McBain scores from Cooley to Gunther about 4 minutes into this third period. That's 3 straight games for McBain with a goal. 5 goals in his past 7 games. He's got 8 goals on the season, which matches last year's total for him. He had 8 goals in 67 games. We're at game 22. He's already at 8 goals. I don't know why they ever took him off this Gunther and Cooley line. This line's been on fire this whole road trip. And great play by Cooley too on that 2-on-1 to fake the shot last minute and get that puck on McBain's stick right on the tape. There was another penalty kill. Utah had to kill, a huge kill with about 10 minutes left. There's a nice Vejmelka save, a shoulder 2-on-1. And then a brouhaha breaks out late in the third period. A rare emotional anger emotions by both of these teams was Gallagher and Sergachev. Sergachev with a sort of fake punch on Gallagher. Gallagher kind of has to do a little head back there. And then Krause and Bukestad get mixed in it with Anderson, Kesselring as well. It was a big scrum, a big scuffle. They go on 4-on-4 for 2 minutes. Nothing really happens. And both teams pretty much play for overtime, the longest overtime in Utah history because they've yet to go to the shootout in the early stages of this franchise. With 26 seconds left, Sergachev scores, gets some redemption, some revenge after him and Gallagher had that little scrum late in the third period. It was a great pass by Schmaltz and started by Barrett Hayden. It was a pretty entertaining overtime, and I loved seeing Sergachev get that goal. So much emotion out of him on that celebration of the goal. Great to see Schmaltz with 2 assists again. He's still yet to score 22 games in, but he has to be at the top of the league in assists. So the shots on goal, Utah 29, Montreal 13. Yep, we've been there before. 13 shots on net in 65 minutes of game time. 0 for 4 on the power play. Again, the problems with Utah this game, it was a great win, but again, lack of power play, lack of finishing. They did pretty well in the PK, but a bit undisciplined, I would say. They committed 3 penalties, thankfully killed off all those penalties, and face-offs 42%, could have been a bit better there as well. So they're in action Friday night at home against Connor McDavid. We'll see if there's any health updates to Ingram, and hopefully they get some points in these 3 games and 4 nights up ahead against 3 monster teams. They definitely need some points to keep up the pace, trying to get back in the wild card picture. So that's it for me. Thanks for watching. If you like what you see, spread the word. And as always, thank you for your support.